Ugh, I get the whole stuck in your house thing, but you can trim your beard, you know.
You don't like it? It's rugged, man. I'm just, this is a perfect opportunity to try the whole castaway kind of look. It's going to be good for me.
This isn't a podcast. People can still see your gross face.
Welcome back, Deep Review TV viewers. Chris Nichols here. We've got another lens review for you today. We're looking at the brand new Tamron 70-180. This is the DI version 3. This has been released for Sony E-mount right now, so I've got it on an A7R Mark III. It's a good platform to test it out. We're just going to wander the empty streets of Calgary here, see what we can see, put this lens through its paces. Now, the first thing that's going to strike you about the Tamron 70-180 is just how compact it is for a 2.8 professional telephoto lens. First off, if we look at the filter thread size, it's 67 millimeters, very compact, and matches the other line of Tamron lenses like the 28-75 for convenience. But if you also look at weight, I mean, the Sony G Master 70-200 2.8, which is really what this lens is kind of going up against, you're looking at almost 1.5 kilos, 1,500 grams. That's like 48,356 pounds, right? Now, when you look at the Tamron 70-180, we're down to 800 grams roughly. I mean, we're talking almost half the weight. So it is a big, significant savings, not only in filter size, but also overall dimensions and overall weight. However, it is worth noting that the Sony G Master has lens-based image stabilization, and this does not. Okay, so no lens-based stabilization, no big deal, right? Because I'm using it on Sony A7R bodies that have stabilizers built in. Well, it's not that simple. So first off, of course, if I choose to use this lens on a Sony E-mount body that doesn't have stabilization, it's going to be a hard time. I really do want some sort of stabilizer with a long telephoto like this, but let's also consider this, okay? First off, when you look at a lot of the first parties major telephoto lenses, the vast majority of them have stabilizers because lens-based stabilization is far more effective than inbuilt body stabilization for telephoto lenses. The Sony bodies that have inbuilt stabilization can combine that with the lens stabilizers that you find in a lot of their lenses, and that gives you enhanced performance, and you're not going to get that with this particular combination. Your mileage will vary depending on what camera you put this lens on, but I'm shooting at 180 millimeters, around 200th of a second to 250th of a second, I should be good, but I am finding that some of my shots have a little bit of motion blur. I'm finding that I have to then push this lens to, faster shutter speeds, and depending on your light, that might mean higher ISOs, and now we're getting into counterproductive image quality. So your mileage is going to vary, but I think that's a big reason why this lens, although smaller and lighter and more affordable, might not be the best option for you. Now, the Tamron, along with all their new professional lenses, is weather sealed, and I've always found Tamron's rugged construction to be quite decent, no issues there. One thing that is still going to drive people crazy though, especially if you are mixing and matching, say, Sony lenses with Tamron lenses, we noticed this though with their DSLR lenses as well, is you got the zoom ring up front and the manual focus ring behind. And this reverse setup, it does drive people crazy, and I've even, it's taken me a while to get back into using this. Now, keep in mind, this is the same arrangement that you'll get on the Tamron 28-75 zoom, for example. So I guess if you just went ahead and bought all the new Tamron lenses, you'd be fine. Mixing and matching, you're going to go crazy. Now, whatever your opinions are about this lens's image quality characteristics overall, you cannot fault the resolution. This is a very sharp lens and certainly can handle the resolution of A7R3s, A7R4s, no problem. Now, looking at our tests here, first off, center sharpness, incredibly good. Whether I'm at 70 millimeters wide open or going to 180 millimeters wide open at 2.8, I'm very pleased with the sharpness in the center, and the corners hold up pretty well. Shooting up close, you do want to focus for the corners. Here I've done some tests where I'm just specifically focusing on the corners. Again, at 2.8, you can see that the center gets a little bit soft, but the corners are nice and sharp. So in the rare situation where you are going to shoot something with something right in the corner, yeah, make sure that you focus on those areas specifically, especially if you are closer up. You stop down to 5.6 and we're getting excellent sharpness throughout the whole range, especially when you're shooting at farther distances. This lens is very, very good resolution wise. And I think that's going to be one of its main selling features. Now with the Tamron 70-180mm focal length range, this is going to get compared right against a lot of other camera companies' 70-200s. Now you are giving up 20mm, not a big deal, but this is really a workhorse kind of range. With that 2.8 aperture, this is a lens that people are going to use for that shallow depth of field portraiture. This is awesome for indoor sports and action where you need faster shutter speeds. And a lot of people on their classic platforms like to use these with teleconverters to get more into a wildlife kind of range. It's worth noting though that when you look at the back of the 70-180, the back element has a fair amount of space from the lens mount. It doesn't move or go in and out as you're zooming, and it looks like you could absolutely accept teleconverter elements. So, you know, Tamron hasn't announced anything, but we could very feasibly see 1.4 and 2 times teleconverters coming out and working on this lens, which will give us that same kind of versatility that we would expect out of, you know, the Sony G Master 70-200 for example. So you got sun glinting off some silver fabric here. I thought I'd get a nice bokeh shot test, and I'm not in love with the bokeh on this lens. I'm gonna be straight out honest with you. I mean, first off, we're getting a fair amount of mechanical vignetting in the corners. We're getting that sort of bright outline around the bokeh. Any sort of specular highlights, it's a little busy for my liking. You know, a big part of our lens test is just looking around for fences that are in direct sunlight. Come to that realization because it lets us do our Loca tests here. And, you know, looking at the shot here, actually very impressive. We're not seeing a lot of color shift from the foreground subjects that are out of focus to the background subjects that are out of focus. Overall, Loca, a lot like the other Tamron lenses we've tested, very well controlled. All right, pretty impressive. I think you guys can see how close I am there. So the 70-180 has some pretty good macro capabilities. Now at 180mm, you can see me shooting here, not as close, for about 0.85 meters. It's a fair amount of distance. But when you go to 70mm, you're getting 1 to 2 life-size reproduction, 0.27 meters, like very, very close. So I could absolutely see this being a very usable macro capability lens. Okay, I'm going to do a quick talk about the video aspects of this lens. First off, Jordan's actually saying he's less well-groomed than I am today, which is hard to believe. And also, he's not super excited about this lens, and here's why. So first off, the manual focusing, I love it for photography. It's very accurate for macro shots. I'm really able to get exactly where I want it, but it's not a linear manual focusing situation. So what that means is for videography, if you're trying to do a focus pull, it's just not repeatable to do those focus pulls because it will change its focus speed based on how fast you turn that lens ring, and that can really throw off your manual focusing pulls. Also, there's a little bit of lens breathing, which just means that as it is autofocusing or manual focusing, you'll find that the focal length changes a little bit. And again, for photography, that's not a big deal, but for videography, that could be an issue. The lack of image stabilization isn't really going to do videographers any favors either. Now, when we tested the Tamron 28-75, we were pleasantly surprised to see that autofocusing motor was quick, it was quiet. But when we tested the prime lenses like the 20mm and the 35mm, it was less than stellar. And autofocus is going to be arguably the most important on a lens in this kind of range. So I'm happy to say the Tamron 70-180 has a very quick, very quiet autofocusing motor. Certainly it'll stand up to sports, action, wildlife kind of photography. So stopping down to f/16 and doing some Sunstars here, I'm getting average results at best. You know, it reminds me a lot of the Tamron 28-75 as well. The Sunstars kind of blur together. We're not getting those nice, thin, distinct points. Now, when it comes to the flare characteristics, I'm actually very impressed with the lens. Tamron have always had good coatings. I'm not seeing a lot of glare. You know, we are getting a little bit of ghosting. It's a complicated formula, but as you can see here, it's fairly minimal. And yeah, I'd have no problem shooting this lens in sunny conditions or into the sun. It does a pretty good job. All right, so I know it seems like we've been reviewing a lot of Tamron lenses lately, but they've really been doing a great job of fleshing out their system. You know, the 17-28 is excellent. It's been out for a little while. The 28-75, of course, been out for a while as well, but now we've got 20 mils, 35 mils, now we've got the 70-180. I mean, they're really building up an extensive line of high-end lenses for mirrorless cameras. And, you know, I think the main takeaway, first off, on the 70-180, yeah, it doesn't have amazing bokeh, it doesn't have amazing sun stars, but it does have excellent resolution, and it'd certainly be great for any of the high resolution cameras. But it goes beyond that, okay? I mean, we are talking about saving money, but we're also talking about getting lenses that are still rugged, fast focusing, and dependable, but more compact, smaller filter sizes, and I think that could have a lot of merit for a lot of people. If you were looking at something more compact like the Sony 70-200 f4, this lens is going to blow that thing out of the water. It's basically the same size and gives you double the light. So this is an awesome choice to go for. I hope you guys found this review very useful. Please do check out our other Tamron video reviews while we're on the same topic. Don't forget to go to Instagram and Twitter. Hit dpreview.com up. We're going to have a full sample gallery. You guys can download the RAWs. Please subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell so you get all those notifications. And that way we will see you again soon.